Awesome. Thank you. All right. So just quick agenda. We're going to be going through all of the resources. So one of the biggest things is how to utilize your toolkit, your current resources available on the website, the resources available on the hub, business school, business college, your student activity office, and those types of resources. We want to cover some of the local national information that you might forget, or just a couple reminders just for you to utilize now and as you continue to recruit during the entire year. And like Sarah said, we will have some time to go over some question and answer if you have anything specific for your chapter that you'd like to ask us for advice, tips, additional resources, anything that we are able to provide, we will want to provide for you today. All right, let's get started on general recruiting resources. We have a little screenshot of the collegiate chapter SVP resource page from the website. On here, you could find so many cool things, such as our recruiting guide. This guide has the recruiting presentation example. It has the manual on what are the duties of the senior vice president. On here, you'll also see that there is the officer training module located on our learning module system. So if you have 20-30 minutes and you want to, what are the expectations as senior vice president? Go ahead and look at that. We also have recruitment ideas. We have recruitment of themes. If you want a list of what supplies do I need for each specific event, we have those listed on this resource page. We have a best practices guide. On here, you will see what are some of those talking points that you should be covering during the presentations for a classroom presentation, or if you are going to different faculty and asking them for 5-10 minutes to talk during their classes. What are some of those quick points about Delta Sigma Pi that you can incorporate and then send a quick invitation to the students in those classes? We have so many templates on just marketing, on communications. If you know that you want to send an email inviting students to your event or a quick text, and you want to distribute that to your entire chapter of, hey, can everyone send this to 10 students? You can have those templates on, ready to go so that it is easier as a senior vice president. While it is your responsibility to oversee the process, it is not your responsibility to do everything on your own. We also have some templates on what are the goals for this specific recruitment cycle. We always say you recruit year round, but for this upcoming term, what are your specific goals? You have a graduating class of 20 students and you're trying to recruit 25 new students. Those are some of those goals that are outlined on there. And if you have a list of however many students and you're looking at the eligibility, what are those requirements? How are they fully eligible to become part of the chapter? And what are some of those potential non-eligibility items, such as, we don't take business minors, that you can have on a list right there. And then as you go step by step, which next would be voting on prospective members. Maybe you're a little bit not so sure of that process. You want an outline that is also located on the website. We talked a little bit about the templates. We talked about the recruiting schedule and the calendar examples. If you want a whole list on advertising ideas, promotional ideas, those are located on there. And there's a bunch of great ideas that you could take advantage of. And what to get displayed, right? We talk about tabling. We talk about organizational fairs. Okay, we're going to be there. We have a time and we have a place, but how do we present at those type of events? Awesome. All right, I did say we had the communication examples. We have 2 up on display right now, the communication templates for event invitations. We always say be personable, provide first names. If you met with a specific recruit and you have a piece of information that you discussed, feel free to add it. We want to be as personable as possible. We're inviting these students to come to our events. We are inviting them to join our chapter, hopefully. So, those are some great potential, I would say, good ideas to be like, hey, Sarah, thank you so much for attending our event. We have this upcoming event, and I know you said that community service is something that you hold very dear to your heart. We are doing this from 6 to 8 p.m. in our student center, and don't forget to bring, different markers or things like that. On the right-hand side, there is a recruit follow-up timeline. This outlines different steps. If somebody shows interest during a tabling event, send a thank you. Thank you for coming by to our table. Here are our next events. Here is the handle to our social media. Here is where to find us. And if you have any other questions, here are some of the requirements that we have in place. So all of those different things are specific to your chapter. So we left this pretty simple and easy for you all to take it and to pass on to the next senior vice president. We also have an example of a recruitment flyer. So if you have a physical recruitment flyer or one online, this is something that you could attach to an email, send as an attachment in a text message, or actually hand to prospective members that are passing by your table or are coming to your event. So, hey, you came to our first event, we have 3 more events, and we state, for example, this one doesn't say you have to attend a minimum of 1 professional event, 1 community service event. But if you do have those requirements, that is something that you can add on flyers as well. On here, for example, this chapter does have a contact person. If it's your senior vice president, if you have a specific email, svp@dsp.com or whatever you all have in place. And then next to it, we do have a recruitment calendar. As it is the beginning of the year, you are kind of getting all those dates finalized. And if you're trying to organize yourself in that aspect, this is a good example to look at and plot your specific dates. If you have a specific holiday off, you most likely won't be planning anything on that date, but maybe you have a social media post. So yes, these are examples, these are templates, but take them, make them your own, and utilize your resources as best fit for your chapter. And if anyone has any questions, any ideas, our chapter does this, feel free to unmute yourself, add comments to the chat function. We'd love to hear what you all do, what works for you all. Moving on to hub information. So how can you utilize the hub to your greatest advantage? There are so many things on the hub that are beneficial, not only obviously as your post, you're adding your recruits on the members tab. So they do receive their welcome email. They are able to complete that prior to the pledging ceremony. Yes, that is important. But what are other aspects on here that we recommend chapters look at? For example, on the dashboard. So you log in, you see the calendar on the left-hand side, the dashboard is on there. You will land on the basic info, which I clicked on a different one. You see your current chapter size, you see your annual member goal. Yes, it is a goal. We don't say you have to be at this number, but it is a good number to look at and see, okay, what are we doing to get a little bit closer to that year after year? You see the fluctuations of your chapter from the last 5 years. And obviously there's a ups and downs with the chapter, and, be aware of that as well. If you know that like I said earlier, you have a large graduating class every spring, you see that on the graph. So, you want to recruit a little bit more, a little bit harder during the spring, just so your numbers stay pretty similar. On here on the dashboard, you also see the pledging/initiation tab. You see how many pledge manuals, Crown and Deltas you have in your inventory, and how many badges you have on hand. So like this example right here, you should have 0 if you are in the positive, great. Now, if you're negative, send us an email. Let's discuss how we could get you to 0 prior to the pledging ceremony beginning. And under that, you see the pledge programs. Your pledge program at this point should be approved, but if it's not, please feel free to resubmit it and get an approved program with the pledging ceremony date and initiation date will show up here. If, at the middle of this month, you're like, you know what, our dates might need to fluctuate a little bit, our times, locations, whatever that may be, send hub at dsp.org an email saying, hey, can we revise this? Can somebody look at this and you request the change so that we are able to make those changes now rather than later as the program goes on. And on here, you also are able to download the pledge program. And this is for your VPPE, obviously, the program that they distribute to all pledges during the first pledge reading. So right after the pledging ceremony on that first date. Leave for a couple of questions, or as if you're taking any notes, give you a couple more seconds on there. One of my favorite, I guess, reports, actually, they're all pretty cool. Go ahead and on the same section, it's close to the bottom, you'll see the reports tab. You're able to pull so many different reports on your chapter, on your members, on pledges, all those different entities. But some that I would recommend you look at prior to your recruitment cycle is the faculty initiates. Pull that report and see who are your initiated faculty that you can specifically reach out as a Delta Sig and say, hey, we are hosting a recruitment event the second week of February. However, we're looking to go into different classes and invite students to our events. Are we able to take 5 minutes before your class begins or at the end of your class to talk about Delta Sigma Pi? Doesn't stop here. I know this is just the faculty initiates, but you're able to do the same with all your faculty. If any of your chapter members have a really close relationship with a faculty member, that could be an easy, hey, professor, can we come in? There's 2 of us that are hoping to, not take much time and obviously be very conscientious that it is their class time. So that's why I always emphasize like before or after. On the same reports, you're able to pull the chapter radius report. It is a very big report that shows all all members from any chapter that are within 25 miles of your university address. So first, you'll see a lot of your chapter name, members, faculty, alumni members. However, as you broaden the search, you'll see more people. This is where you can pull the list and see all these names of potential presenters, alumni members that could come in and present during one of your recruitment events. So if there is a brand manager, they're like, how to brand yourself, how to update your resume, how to present yourself in all these types of environments, you can reach out to those alumni and be like, hey, we're looking for a presenter for our recruitment event. So that's why we have the chapter radius report on there. After that, the chapter roster. Yes, the chapter roster is located on the hub under the members tab. However, if you want to just export every single person in your chapter and assign them to specific duty, or maybe you export this file and say how many events have they attended, or who did they talk to, what type of outreach did they do, did they post your flyer, did they attend a tabling event. So if you want to kind of track that attendance with your VPCO specifically for recruitment, you give those files to your other officers. That is something that would make it a little bit easier as you have those specific requirements for each brother during this process. We have the qualified programs list and count. While you do see the qualified programs on the dashboard, we also have a report that you can, again, export and see a little bit easier. All right, we have 20 economics majors. We have 3 marketing majors. We have 50 accounting majors. All right, you kind of see that distribution, and it's a little bit easier to say, okay, like we're kind of looking a little bit more for management and maybe information systems. So you can make a little bit of emphasis, or you're able to, hey, we have 20 people in this specific major. What type of outreach are we doing for that specific major? Another potential opportunity. And then your recent grads, there is a report that pulls the recent grads from the last 5 years, kind of going similar to the Radius report. This is a file that you're able to download and connect with those graduated members and say, hey, I know you just graduated. We'd love to have you back to an alumni panel. If you're interested in presenting a specific topic in whatever industry you're in today, we'd love to have you back. And the awesome thing about now is that it can be virtual, that you can have a virtual panel of recent grads from all over the world. And I'll hand it over to Sarah.
All right, awesome. Hi, everyone. So let's talk a little bit about the business school. So, connecting with your dean, your faculty advisor, your faculty initiates, kind of how Jasmine was saying earlier, pulling that report. I'd be surprised how many chapters I visit that don't know their faculty initiates. So it may not be someone that you all personally initiated, but nonetheless, they are still members of this organization and are going to be supports. They were supports back when they were initiated. And if they're still at your school, they absolutely want to help out. That's the reason why they wanted to join an organization like this. So reconnect with them. Don't be afraid to, re-engage those, even if they are some lost connections. I'm sure they understand. But with these connections, of course, be mindful they are working business professionals for your institution. So the sooner that you can make these outreaches, the better, especially in those first couple of weeks of school, which is more likely going to be the time that you're going to be having your recruitment cycle. Seeing if maybe one of them want to come in and talk about, how it is being the dean of the College of Business, or what opportunities are out there for you. We've seen a lot of really beneficial professional events come from some of these individuals. In addition to that, they can also be really good at helping you get a leg up on recruitment, getting some of those rooms that you need, maybe having some more additional faculty relations or other avenues that you can explore to, have that target audience reached of whatever majors you're trying to acquire, or, whatever classes that you're maybe you're trying to get in. So again, connecting with these individuals is always going to be a plus in our book. So definitely start thinking about that stuff now before you get back to school. In addition to that, co-sponsor events. It is okay to have events with other organizations, other chapters of other fraternities and sororities, or even other clubs. We always promote that and encourage it, because again, you're going to learn a lot more from the people that you work with. I think there's something very beneficial, of course, to having your own Delta Sigma Pi events, but don't be afraid to reach out and expand your horizons by doing some of these events with other offices or organizations. And again, these are going to take time. Don't expect to reach out to the local chapter or the local business club and expect to have an event turn around in like 2 days' time and have it be successful. So again, take that time, plan it out well, and you can get additional CMP credit for it, even getting a professional event credit that's also co-sponsored with another organization. So keep those things in mind. And it's also great for recruitment, more exposure. Also, add events to available platforms that you have available, and even business related clubs and organization fairs. These things kind of go hand in hand, because again, business related clubs and organization fairs only happen a few select times every year. So you want to have exposure at those events, because that is going to be a hotspot for the exact people you're trying to recruit, which are going to be business majors looking to get further involved than just classes. So make sure you're signed up for those things promptly so that you have a table, you're able to plan what your table is going to look like and how you're going to present yourself, so that you represent yourselves well. And adding those events, including these organizational fairs, to all your platforms. If you have a website that's up to date, check it out. Make sure that it has everything you want, on there, in case a student comes across it and wants more information. If you have an Instagram, a Facebook, a Twitter, whatever social media you hold, make sure that is up to date with the current contact information and information about the chapter. Again, you can review those things even on our DSP website. Every chapter, when you go on the chapter locator, has kind of like a profile on there, and it hyperlinks what we have as your Instagram, your Facebook, your website. So if those things seem out of date, definitely get those things reviewed, because if others are looking at our website trying to find you, we want to make sure we're putting our best foot forward for you and giving them the correct information on you all. So, make sure all those things are updated beforehand and are looking good, so that, again, you're representing well in your business school and people know your name and see you at all these events, see you co-sponsoring. But we're going to continue on here to student activities. So same thing with student activities, attending events during Welcome Week. That is such an easy way to get face-to-face with students. And I know maybe some of you in here are like, well, that's true, but maybe they're not all business majors. I'm here to tell you that that is okay. Maybe you can sign up for the move-in crew. Maybe you can help sign up to be a table for refreshments or something that they need to, pass out flyers. At the end of the day, in these types of events, what matters the most is what you can control. You can control showing up, wearing your letters, having a smile on your face, and being someone that flocks students to them and is a help. Maybe that person's a nursing major, maybe they are a business major, or they're another major, but they're going to have friends and they're going to meet people along the way that would qualify to be a part of Delta Sigma Pi. And you're going to be the first person that they recommend, because they will remember how you made them feel. So again, I think the biggest, principle with recruiting is getting in front of as many people and giving them a lasting impact of how you made them feel. And, wow, I kind of want to be a part of that. Or, hey, I want to see what they're doing on campus next, because I would like to support someone and a group also that is like this. Again, you're going to see organization fairs here and campus events. Definitely jump on the bandwagon of co-sponsoring some campus events. You still get just as much CMP credit for, attending some of these events, even if it's not sponsored by the chapter at all. So oftentimes we see a lot of institutions have speaker series or different webinars, different trainings, or career development opportunities. Just representing that as a chapter helps get you professional credit and those sorts of things. But also it's a great way to expose yourselves to maybe other people that are non-members that are taking advantage of these opportunities also, and maybe good people to start conversations with. So be on the lookout for those things. Typically they're free and you can sign up through a campus portal or through the student activities office. But when in doubt, don't be afraid to visit this office. They are in existence to help organizations such as you all. So again, use them as a resource. Also, funds may be available for you for open events and also just for maybe some of the events you want to put on. I can't speak to every single campus that is in the room, in the virtual room here, but oftentimes these funds exist exclusively for each group, and you can apply for them and you can hold events and use some of that, so it's not such a burden on you to have a campus event or to have something maybe at a larger scale. So explore those options with student activities, because again, the exposure is going to really help you out with that long-term recruitment that in theory should never end. In addition to that, post events on newsletters and campus TVs, and use your campus hashtags. Some of these things are going to take some time, especially with the newsletters and campus TV. Usually those things go through edits and have to be reviewed by certain individuals. So if you can make sure that while you're reaching out to hopefully your deans and student activities and advisors and everybody, making sure that you have Delta Sigma Pi on these different avenues and that you made the cut. You don't want to be doing this the night before expecting to be on the campus TV the next day. And campus hashtags are always going to exist. That's where new students are going to go to find anything and everything regarding your institution. So maybe it's, gosh, class of 2026 or whatever year we're on now, whatever hashtags they create for your school, you can put those on your DSP things. Something I would definitely recommend to you is be mindful of your presence and how generalized some of your social media comes across, because if you're from the IOTA Mu chapter, which I think was one of the example flyers you had just seen, if you just do hashtag DSP IOTA Mu, no one is going to know what that is except for you. Potential recruits, non-members are going to have no idea what IOTA Mu is, even though that's your chapter. So be mindful of those things. Maybe use Delta Sigma Pi instead, or new member, or things that would get people's attention, like your university and consistent things. Okay. But also we are going to talk about local and national information. So again, costs to join, internship opportunities, what scholarships provided by the Leadership Foundation are available to us regionally, provincially, and nationally. Chapter scholarships and even national events. I know that's a lot on there, so we're going to dissect it a little bit. These are all different opportunities you're able to navigate on our website. Okay, we constantly have affinity partners that are wanting to work with you all as students, and we understand that maybe that's not the direction you would like to take with your career, but scholarship money is scholarship money, and it definitely helps the world go round. And so take advantage of it, especially Delta Sigma Pi scholarships. We have a great amount of them every year that either go untouched or unapplied for because some people don't know about them. You're able to check those out on our scholarships page on the website. And that's also a great way to recruit other students saying, hey, we have exclusive scholarships that are only for us members. You know, that's really limiting the pool down here. You're not fighting thousands and thousands of people for that $500 scholarship or that $1,000 scholarship. So make sure you're looking into those things. And also, you know, if you're in a bind and looking for an internship, you know, maybe going through one of our partners isn't going to be a horrible thing for you. And it's going to also be a good opportunity to, you know, get involved professionally with something and, you know, grow yourself as a professional. Our national events, we have one coming up here. If we have any presidents or senior vice presidents attending President's Academy, that is coming up here in January. We have that every single year, and that's designed to help grow professionally and, you know, build up leaders so that they can come back and lead their chapters. But that's not the only thing that we ever have going on. We have lead provincial conferences, which you'll see coming up here in the spring. We just had our lead schools back in the fall. And every 2 years, we have our Grand Chapter Congress, which is the assembly of everybody. So that's a really special event too, to get to meet Delta Sigs literally from across the world. So those are going to be opportunities for you to get in front of people, to share experiences and realize, hey, we're not just our own chapter. There's so much more out there for us and so much more opportunity. And once you experience those things yourself and get excited over them, then it's really going to show in your recruitment, because if you haven't gone to one, you can only say, oh, well, we have these. But until you actually experience it, that's when it's really going to shine through, like how much of an impact it actually had on you. So really look into these things and invest your time and your chapter's time in these things, because it's going to have a really good return on investment and pay off in selling what it means to be a part of Delta Sigma Pi. Okay, few reminders. I know that was a lot of information and you probably have some questions. Again, chats are open. Feel free to unmute at any point. But we have recruitment workshops, agendas planned, you know, flyers and business cards made, you know, if that's something you are looking to do. Have recruitment t-shirts ordered if you need to, events approved by campus if you need to, your rooms reserved, update display cases, bulletin boards, any communication with your brothers on important dates. So again, big rule of thumb, make sure everybody is on the same page with recruitment. Like Jasmine had said, I believe on literally the first slide, yes, it is part of your responsibility to make sure this happens and to oversee it, but by no means is it your job to do everything. Make sure every single person on your chapter is confident to talk at least 36 seconds about what is happening with recruitment and what it means to be a member of this organization, which may sound silly, but I mean, at the end of the day, Jasmine and I and everybody in here joined this organization for a reason. And so if you can really highlight that in a condensed format and really show people what it means and what it has meant to you to be a part of your chapter, that's the selling point right there. And all of these other things are just going to add and supplement what it means to be a part of this organization. And every single person's why factor in this room is not going to be the same. So, and that's okay. So really, you know, think about that. Make sure your chapter is good with it. And if you need to do any of these things, and if this is a good reminder for you, feel free to screenshot it, okay? We would rather you start these processes sooner rather than later, because it's much harder to maybe get some of these things at a last minute notice, okay? So we'll give you a second to screenshot and also take it to the next slide here to schedule time with us. While this is a very condensed overview of recruitment, we've been doing this for a few weeks now. We have one more recruitment webinar coming up next week. We'd love to have you. It's going to be closing the deal, but we would love to, in the meantime, schedule time, with us. Luckily, our emails are very easy. You can see our names here on the screen, Jasmine and Sarah. You would just put our first names at dsp.org. You can reach one of us directly and we can hop on a Zoom call, chat about your chapter's unique situation. Or if you'd like to just scan this QR code, feel free to, and we can schedule time that way as well. But we would definitely love to help give you a jump start and, make a plan that's going to work for you. Okay, so I'm going to give everybody a time to scan this if you'd like. But I believe the next slide is just our Q&A portion with our faces again on it. So if everyone's already scanned this, we'll get over onto that and ask any questions. I know that was a lot of information and maybe some information that is new to you, and that's okay, but we would love to, go over anything you have questions on, concerns on, or if you have any cool ideas that you'd like to share for everybody in here. Anybody? Any questions? Oh, no.
It was me.
Oh, okay.
What is the most successful recruitment event you have heard a chapter use? Thank you, Jenna, for the question.
Jasmine, you want to take this one first, or?
If you want to go ahead, let me think about my answer.
Okay, sure. So the most successful recruitment event I've ever seen was a chapter that did, I talk about this a lot. They did an awesome co-sponsored event with the university, and it was an event that really tied in everything together. It was a woman leadership panel, and they co-sponsored it with the entire university. The university actually helped get different women from all different backgrounds, and they sat together for this forum panel that it was open to everybody. It wasn't just business students. It was open to the entire university. And it was so successful that now they're on their third annual one, which is awesome. But it also served as like a community service event. Like they had a donation drive for a women's shelter. So it was all themed. And they had a fundraiser, like a silent auction, to also go towards the women's center. So it just was an all around great event. People left feeling impacted and also felt like, oh, wow, what's this Delta Sigma Pi that helped co-sponsor this amazing event? And from there, they had tables ready to go to meet people, to talk to people, and continue networking that way. So one of the best ones I've seen, but I'm sure there's another few that I'm completely that are completely escaping my memory. But go ahead, Jasmine.
Thanks, Sarah. One of the most successful events that I've seen and I thought was a great idea was, what is a professional fraternity? I know myself, I did not know what that was, but hearing about this chapter, hosting this event with not only business fraternities, but also, the medical fraternities, the engineering fraternities, and having, again, a co-sponsored event of just, this is what we're about. If you're at a campus that has multiple business fraternities, it could be a specific, what is a business fraternity, and stating like, yes, this is how we are similar, but these are some of the things that we do differently, and providing any recruits, the potential members, an opportunity to get to know all the different type of members of each group of, oh, well, Delta Sigma Pi has, a specific philanthropy. So every year we participate in Make a Difference Day, and we have these specific things to Delta Sigma Pi and how we, the people, make it Delta Sigma Pi. So I thought it was a really good opportunity to do that at that event. And we received another question. So how do we go about identifying who would be a good fit for the chapter?
I could not be able to do this job.
What was that? Sorry.
I think Jazz.
I don't know if anyone was saying anything there, but if you were, feel free to put it in the chat or unmute again, but I can take this one first. How do we go about identifying who would be a good fit for our chapter? So this is opening a bigger can of worms, of course, but DE&I is a big focus, of course, as for us as an organization. So I would say really take a simple approach on it. Don't go really nitty gritty on trying to identify the perfect candidate, because oftentimes doing that is double backing on what you're trying to do and be more diverse and be more opening and acceptive. Because if we just recruit the same people like us, are we really being open and taking different points of view and different perspectives? I think the best piece of advice I would give you is look at the simple qualifications to be a member of DSP. You know, there is a financial component, there's a time component. You all have attendance policies as a chapter that hopefully everyone in your chapter upholds at the moment, right? And you have that set expectation of, okay, maybe we have a system where everyone needs to attend every professional event and every chapter and this and that, whatever it is, making sure that we think that these individuals would be qualified to do that. If they have a night class every single time that you have chapter, or if they work a ton and they don't know if they would even be able to make it to an event, you know, weigh those things out. Like, is this someone that can actually help provide value to our chapter? And it's okay. It's not offending if they can't. It just maybe is a wrong time for them. So really look at it that way and identify, because, you know, if some of you do interviews in the room, sometimes the most introverted person in that interview can turn out to be the greatest leader. I've seen it happen even just before my eyes personally as a consultant. So I think allowing yourselves to be an open pool for people to grow, but also realizing and knowing if they can actually uphold the expectations you have as a chapter. Anything else you'd like to add, Jasmine?
I think you said it pretty well of, you know, you have those needs as a chapter, and just be very transparent with your potential members of this is what we're looking for in all regards, whether it's a financial piece of this is how much pledge initiation fees are, this is how much dues are as a member. I always hear active. No, you're an active member your entire time. And again, it's not just for 4 years, it's for life. But any other questions at this time? Any advice that you would give as a senior vice president or just a chapter officer on what your chapter did well in recruitment? What tools your previous vice president provided to you that you think others should take advantage of as well?
I don't know if this is just part of the job or if this is something else that he did special, but our previous vice president went to like each like individual like member, because we have a smaller chapter, but he went to each one and had like individual conversations with them about their goals, what they're doing, where they want to go in life. And then he'd use that when he was talking to potential new recruits, say, hey, you know, if you're into accounting, we've got like, you know, so and so, so and so, and so and so, they're accounting as well. Like, come to this event and you can talk to them about like your guys' plans. And so that worked really well for us. So, I mean, that's also something though that's kind of hard to replicate for some people. So, I mean, that's just what we did.
That's awesome. I definitely would just like to share, like, I'm also from a smaller chapter myself, and that is so important to have those relationships, no matter how large you are. Really, the best picture I've ever seen with a chapter is one that does what they need to do, of course, but also has that relationship to back it up. I was saying this, I think, on the first recruitment webinar we had for this series on, you know, if you're at a recruitment table and you're the SVP or you're somebody else and you're saying, we're just this amazing chapter, we are so bonded, we're so close, but then no one sees anyone else but you at those recruitment events. It's like here's what I'm hearing, but here's also what I'm seeing. So I think there is such an important piece to you also being good as a chapter and feeling that connection and realizing you don't have to be besties with everybody in the chapter to feel that bond and to feel like at the end of the day, we all have professional goals and together we're going to reach them. We're going to do well in our classes that we probably all have very similar classes in. We're going to do well in those. We're going to grow ourselves as a professional, maybe serve as references for each other and really help each other get there. Those are the types of bonds and relationships I oftentimes see in chapters that really set us apart from any club that I've ever seen or been a part of as a collegiate member. So great point, Kevin. Thank you for sharing that. Does anyone else have any other thoughts or questions on things of how to get started? Okay, not seeing any. So definitely wanted to take the time to thank you